What's up, everyone? All right, well, today is a red day recap for the small account, and it's salt in the open wound to see the stock that I lost big on. Um, I got in at 32.60. It dropped to 30, and I stopped out. So I lost 550 just on that trade. It went a little lower to like 29, maybe 28, and then just ripped up to 34.74. Without me. Oh, gosh, that hurts. You just feel like you had the right idea. But the timing was wrong. And the problem on that trade was I ended up having a poor profit-loss ratio. And I'll talk about it during the recap. I got in thinking it was going to break immediately, and then it flushed. And at that point, I was down so much on it that I gave it room to bounce, and it did, but then didn't really work, and it just became a bigger loss. And so, the challenge in the small account today was that I hesitated on a similar trade early that ended up being a big winner in my main account. I was like, it's too risky for the small account, I'll trade it in the big account. And I could have just taken it with smaller size in the big account, or small account, but I didn't. In any case, so I didn't trade it at all in the small account. It makes a big move, and then when this opportunity showed up, I was like, I'm not going to miss that. And I took the trade, and then that's the one that doesn't work. So the challenges of trading in a small account, missing an opportunity, then FOMO, kind of overcompensating, getting into the next one, and then not wanting to give up on it. So kind of a bummer here, day 21, red day recap, but it's okay. I'll look to trade another day. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then, day 22, hopefully not for a third red day recap, but for a green day recap. All right, hit the thumbs up, and as always, remember, trading is risky. Most beginner traders lose money. That's a typical experience. You should assume, therefore, that you will lose money, and you should trade in a simulator before you put real money on the line. All right, my results are not typical, so take it slow. All right, enjoy the recap. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, everyone, so finishing the day in the small account down $643.99. That's a bummer for sure. That's a big red day. I didn't trade in it at all yesterday. I didn't see anything that looked good. And today I felt a little antsy. I was like, I can't just not trade in it multiple days in a row. You got to find something. And so the first stock I traded was XBIO. So in my main account today, I'm up $23,000. I had a great day in the main account on AHPI. The problem is that I didn't feel that I could trust this one in the small account because at the time the spreads were big, the price was too high, and so I missed the opportunity. I ended up overcompensating by then taking a trade on ACY in the small account, but then highlighting exactly why that's probably not the right type of stock to trade in the small account. So anyways, I missed AHPI in the small account. Traded it in the big account, did well, that's fine. But in the small account, the first trade was on XBIO. So on XBIO, as it popped up, it was right around here that I got in. As it popped up here, I got in at 415. And it pops up to a high of, at the time, 425. It did not break, and I stopped out break even. Well, I lost $16 on it. No big deal. It came up and tried it again, it failed, and then finally it did break through that level, but then it failed pretty dramatically. So that was kind of a bummer. I'm not really sure why that was the case, but it was choppy. And the fact is, I guess one of the reasons why is that it wasn't one of the leading gappers. It wasn't one of the obvious stocks. And so, I should have just left it alone. Well, I immediately then jumped into OCX. I get red $16 and I really want to kind of get green. So I jump into OCX, which had just squeezed up, and I bought the bounce off the VWAP at 511. So in that, or 510. Stopped on that at 503. I couldn't afford to keep holding it as it pulled back, lost 94 on that, putting me down 111 on the day. Then I didn't take any trades until ACY. ACY, I decided to give a stab on it, and that was right. It was right about here. I bought it at 32.62 for the break of 33. I thought at this point it's a flat top. At that point, it was a 5-minute setup. And I thought it looked good. It dropped all the way to the VWAP. I held through the pullback. I was down like $500 because I ended up stopping out at about the same price right here. So I held through the pullback. I didn't intend to initially because I got in the trade thinking it was going to break 33 right then and there. And I was going to have a winner immediately. And when it hesitated and dropped, then I kind of thought, well, shoot, I don't really want to stop out on this for $1 a share loss. We have this yellow ascending support line. It broke that, but then I'm like, well, the VWAP's right there. And it bounced off the VWAP from 30.50 all the way back to 32.50, a 2-point bounce off the VWAP. And you know what? This thing may end up going today. But unfortunately, I held through a much bigger drawdown than I had planned on. So I was down 500 on it. Then comes back up to basically down 10 cents. But at that point, I was like, no, if this breaks 33, that's the spot. And it hit 32.50 and then dropped, and I stopped out right there. And so unfortunately on this one, I just could not keep holding it. And even though it's up from where I sold right now by $1 a share, if I had kept holding it, I could have risked it going into a halt down. So, today highlights one of the challenges with trading in a small account that sometimes you miss the stock that ends up being the big mover because you think you can't afford the risk. And then because it worked, then the next one that's risky, you take the trade on it. But of course, it's still risky, and then you end up not taking a loss on it. So I'm disappointed to have a fairly large red day here. It's not my max loss, but it is 3 red trades, and so I'm not going to take any more. So between days 20 and 30, taking 3 trades a day is fine. But I just went for that last trade thinking I'd get green, and I just couldn't do it. So discouraging, but it's the way it goes with small accounts. And the challenge here, especially, is the level of patience it requires. It requires so much patience because small accounts can be so slow. A small account is a slow account, and that's a good thing, but it takes a lot of patience. And for me, I think that's where the frustration kicks in a little bit because I end up missing an opportunity, and then I'm kind of feeling FOMO on it, and maybe I trade it in the big account, but I miss it in the small account, and then I'm just like, oh man, it just kind of gets to you. So that's kind of what I'm feeling a little bit today. Just like a little bummed out, and this is like $600 is like my biggest green day, and the trade on ACY, I wouldn't have made 500 on it if it had worked. I was probably only going to make like 200 on it. So, to be down 500 on a stock, I probably only had the potential to make 200 on is that classic, negative profit loss ratio, which is the result of sort of holding and hoping, and that's a problem. So I think that these problems are compounded by trading in a small account. In a large account, using leverage, I can get aggressive on the stocks that are strong. I can afford to trade them. And, the stock that I made the most money on today is AHPI. I didn't even touch it in the small account. I just let it go without me. So small accounts are a challenge, but at the same time, it's a proof of concept. That's the whole point. It's sort of can you keep your head above water? And if you keep your head above water long enough, then clearly you're doing something right. And then at a certain point, you recognize if you're swimming with weights around your ankles, maybe you should take the weights off. And trading a small account sometimes feels like swimming with weights on your ankles because you're held back by share size, you're held back by risk. And so if you can make it in that small account, then that's when, you have the small account slowly over the course of 6-8 months or whatever it is, grows to a big account, and then that's fine. Or you say, you know what? It's worth me justifying investing in myself and turning it into a big account, by moving money from somewhere or selling my old car, whatever, you might do, which are things that I've done myself when I was trying to keep my account large enough to trade because I knew small account would be challenging. But, again, it's a challenge that I took up here during a time of year when statistically there isn't a lot going on. So, just kind of taking a couple trades here and there. I'm disappointed, but I'm not super stressed about it. I've been interested to notice that the interest in the small account has been waning on YouTube. You know, I kind of thought that people would be more interested in it. That was sort of the ideal. Okay, people really want me to do a small account challenge. All right, I'll do it. But consistently, every single day, my recaps are getting almost twice as many views on the main account and the small account. People are really excited on like day 1 and 2, and it's just like not interesting. So I don't know. I'm wondering whether or not it's really interesting to people. I mean, the statistics are telling me it's not, but maybe today is a red day, we'll get more views. So that's it for me. As always, trading is risky. My results are not typical. Take it slow, one trade at a time, and we'll be back at it tomorrow for day 22.
And that right there was an entire video with no ads. I don't monetize my YouTube channel with video ads, which means you guys get to enjoy the content. But do me a favor, please hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up and let YouTube know that this channel is the channel to watch if you want to learn about day trading.